Liverpool and United offended everyone with the 0-0 draw at Anfield. Leicester has gone temporary top of the table, although both Manchester clubs could overtake them with their games in hand. Chelsea, and maybe more specifically Frank Lampard's outlook, is dire. Aston Villa is looking like they may play a Premier League football game again here soon, and Arsenal are looking okay again after scoring a few goals against the hopeless Newcastle. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're hearing this from, thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from four friends who support different clubs. Red Card Radio hopes to tell and opine on the major story threads of the Premier League with a more specific focus on the clubs we support. My name is James, and I support Arsenal. I'm joined weekly by my three good friends. Tamzid is a lifelong Liverpool supporter. Sean will take offense to my claims about Arsenal due to his allegiance to Tottenham. And Brad will tell you why history doesn't matter and that Chelsea Football Club are the biggest clubs in England. All that said, this is our look at the state of the Premier League after match day 19. Kind of. Because I realized this afternoon that very few teams have actually played 19 games. Most of the teams have only played 18 games so far. Or if you're Aston Villa, 15 games. Because they can't keep a COVID protocol. But all that being said, what's going on, guys? How are we doing? What's up?
That's on the other side of London.
Yeah.
We don't claim that.
But
nope.
Aston Villa's not in London.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. So we need Brad.
We got Sean
Brad
with Sean Geography.
Should we just?
I need Geography. We need Brad with speech lessons.
And Sean studies math.
We're only 2 minutes in. I can just cut it now, and we can just restart.
Nope.
No.
And you keep your interjection too.
Keep it.
They need to know what they're getting into here. Red Card Radio.
Oh,
Let's go.
Well,
they're definitely on the other side of London because they're not there. So,
if you couldn't tell, this is an American-based podcast. We are all from America, so clearly
we are functionally literate.
Well, that's questionable.
Functionally literate. I like that.
But all right, let's all joking aside, let's take a look at the table really quickly, so everyone can see that. We had a little bit of a change up top today because Leicester won, so Leicester is top with 38 points, having played 19. United is second at 37 points after their draw at Anfield, only having played 18 games. City, though, I think is a sleeper here. Having only played 17 games, is at 35 points. They are primed to go 2 clear of United, assuming United win. Liverpool is fourth still. Spurs are fifth, only 1 point behind Tottenham, so that's 1 point behind Liverpool, so that's pretty tight. Everton, West Ham, Chelsea, Southampton, and Arsenal round out the top 10. Finally back in the top half of the table. Aston Villa, of course, hasn't played a game in, I think, 16 years. But they look like they have a game scheduled this weekend. I guess we'll see if that happens or not. But then the relegation battle from 15 down is Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield, the bottom 3 being unchanged. So that's kind of what's going on in the table these days. We are going to start talking with the top of the table because I think that's the most interesting thing that we could be talking about. Of course, we had the Liverpool.
It's really tight.
We had the Liverpool United draw, but then Leicester and City are both creeping on up there, and I guess maybe I should have included Spurs in this conversation, but I didn't, maybe for obvious reasons. But. So yeah, let's start with Liverpool United. We did predictions last week, and one person got this game correct in terms of result and scoreline, and it of course is our Liverpool supporter. So I mean, maybe you know something about your club we don't. Tamzid, you nailed that, 0-0. You were expecting nothing, apparently.
This game never has goals in it. This game hasn't had goals in it in years. But this game never
It's
gets
weird.
It every year we have our worst game of the year against United.
Well, is it
always? Even though we can stomp any team in the league and we'll have our worst 2 games of the season are against United. It's always the case.
But you guys also haven't been scoring goals, period, in the past few games.
Yeah.
So, do you think it was just like a United thing, or do you think it's like the form?
Both. It's both. We haven't played well against United ever. And we haven't been scoring goals. We haven't scored goals in three straight games, I think.
So what you're saying is
that's more like we're gonna destroy a team soon, and then we're just then gonna go on a run again for some scoring. You can't the same way. You know how I always say that you can't run from XG. You can't continue to underperform your XG either. At some point, the goals just come. They'll just floodgates open, and so I'm not concerned about us not scoring goals in 3 games or whatever. But the United game was predictable because it was United. Like this game is always bad.
Okay, so are you saying that the PE teacher has Klopp's number? If you guys constantly underperform there?
I mean, Mourinho did. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. I don't know. Who else was there before? Louis Van Gaal did. Yeah, they all. It's always been United. This has been our toughest game of the year.
Let's go back and look at the David Moyes era, see what that looked like.
David Moyes.
No, we haven't.
Was that an era?
He was shit.
Is that an era?
I think so. Wasn't it like 18 months?
No, it was like 8 months.
Was it 8 months? Okay. Did I add?
Dude, he made it past April.
But weren't Liverpool bottom of the table during that whole run too?
No.
Or mid-table?
That was like the slip year.
Yeah, it was a slip year.
Okay.
2014.
I think it was Brendan Rodgers. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the slip year.
Luis Suarez and Stevie G. Yeah, so I honestly got that entirely wrong because I really thought that Liverpool were primed to score some goals, and I thought that I really thought that you guys would get an early goal that would just open the game up entirely.
I think it's about time Firmino gets replaced in the team. I think it's time that he needs to. He's got a case of the Brazilians. He's 30 years old. He's got a case of the Brazilians, so he's more interested in living his life right now than the game.
Really?
Because he was several
The legend? You're talking about the legend that took out Spurs in the 88th minute.
I mean, it was 92nd minute.
Extra time. Yeah.
Will always be great because he's already more successful than all of London.
Jesus. You didn't need to throw that out there.
But
factual.
Including Aston Villa, huh?
William's got an extra Premier League trophy and 2 extra cups, but we'll digress.
Did you just say William?
Yeah.
Please.
From Chelsea days, because he's Brazilian.
Anyone?
For the Brazilian
Firmino went away to Bayern and won. And last I checked, all you lot have been getting battered by Bayern.
Oh, God.
So Firmino is bigger than London. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I will point out that
Arsenal
have not played Bayern in many years. I'm just throwing that out there. Can't beat us if we don't play them.
But I think it's time to go. I think it's not a surprise that we played our best ball when Jota was around. Because Mane and Salah get bodied in the box now every day with no fouls or anything. They just get manhandled. And so when the chances fall to Firmino, he needs to be able to finish them now. Like, we are past that stage where we need a playmaker up top, and we need somebody that can actually take the pressure off our wingers to score. So that's it's time to Firmino to move on, I think.
What are the prospects of that? Is there any actual rumblings of that? Because I think
I don't think Firmino.
I feel like only if, like, at the beginning of the season there was some Firmino slander on Twitter, and you were defending him at the beginning of the season, and so I was shocked to hear this take from you. Yeah,
I think it's time because it's been going on for 2.5 years now. It isn't just like this year exclusively. It's more or less going from like January 2019 till now. And I'm pretty sure in that time space, he's only scored like 6 goals.
I mean, yeah, clearly his production's gone down, so that is clearly worrying. And you guys did look better before Jota went down. But let's turn the tables a little bit. I think the lion in the weeds here is City. And I think that you talked about this like a month ago, Tamzid, about how the only team you were really worried about for Liverpool was City. I mean, they have 2 games in hand, and they are only 3 points behind Leicester right now.
And their form is
and they're coming good.
Win.
Like they're coming good. They're coming into their form, and so is this a situation where Pep's just gonna run away with it, or do we think that it's gonna stay pretty tight here for the rest of the year?
I think Pep's gonna end up running away with it. I don't think it's gonna be tight. The fear factor is back at City now, so teams have stopped pressing them. It used to be that, especially last year, you could just press City, they'll fold, and you'll hit them on the counter and you'll score. Right? It was a fairly like Norwich beat them. Right? Norwich beat them. Wolves did the double over them. They lost a fair few games this exact way.
We beat them in the cup that way.
Yeah. Teams that just press them and then just hit the ball over the top to your player, and they'll be one-on-one with your forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it Foden coming into form? Or
no,
what is it?
It's more their whole because he's not playing a single pivot anymore. He's not playing one man to shield his back line. So he's playing two sitting midfielders, Gundogan and Rodri, or Gundogan and Fernandinho, or Rodri and Fernandinho. Some combination of that set. So he's already playing a much more defensive lineup, so it's a little bit harder to like hit them on the break. But it's also because they keep winning, so teams just stop pressing them. I'm sure they'll fold in the Champions League at some point because European teams don't care about Man City. They don't really got juice like that. So like they'll just end up folding in Europe. But as far as here's go, they stormed Crystal Palace, who don't have any play big teams. I think who they play next. I'm fairly certain it's an easy game too.
Villa. They have Villa on the 20th, and then they have West Brom on the 26th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Villa is going to fold over for them too, because Villa also don't come to play big games like that. But yeah, like the City's going to end up starting to walk the league.
Interesting. You think they're uncatchable?
I don't want to say they're uncatchable. But I don't think it's
when they're in third.
I don't think it's likely. They're in third with like 2 games in hand and a massive run of form. Like,
and the best defense.
Uncatchable. That's what I'm saying.
And the best defense, right?
And the best defense right now.
Well, I didn't say they were uncatchable.
Yeah, that was.
I said
that's what was the question was.
And he disagrees.
Okay.
Yeah. Secondly, they should smack Aston Villa, especially after all of the COVID stuff, and this is their first game back. I'm not expecting a lot tomorrow from Aston Villa at all.
I feel like Aston Villa has folded over a lot for like United and for like a bunch of other teams. So I feel like they'll fold over for City too.
Wish they folded over for Arsenal.
But I feel your pain.
Yeah, right.
We digress.
Okay, so I think that I'm of the same opinion that you are, in that all the things seem to be clicking right now for City. I think that if I had to put $100 on who I thought would win the league today, I would put it on City. I mean, it's a team that knows how to win the Premier League, and I think that's important. But I think that all of their factors are going for them. Brad, do you want me to ask you about Leicester and what their prospects are, or do you want me to pop that question to Sean?
Leicester's will probably take our seat in the top 4. I'm like, our team just, oh gosh, no, Leicester played very strong. I think Leicester is a solid team. I think they're definitely a top 4 competitor. But yeah, I don't really want to talk about that too much.
Yeah, so we're definitely, this is being recorded after the Leicester Chelsea game, and so Leicester is top of the table at the moment. And I mean, like they're playing really well. I think Brendan Rodgers has them playing really well, and they've kind of figured out their home form. That was kind of their downfall. They were really good on the road, and they had some shoddy performances at home. But over the last, month or so, they've had some really good home form, and it's kind of turning the tide a little bit at home. I don't know if this like screams to me like another season where Leicester kind of sneak the Premier League, like they did a couple years ago. I don't think that's going to happen because Manchester City, I think, is more competent this year. Like they snuck the league on Arsenal and Tottenham that year, and Chelsea a little bit, but Chelsea, not really Chelsea.
No,
it was Arsenal. Yeah. It was Arsenal and Tottenham. They snuck the league on that year, and I mean, as much as I love Arsenal, that Arsenal team was a couple injuries shy of competent. And so I think that they could make a run at it. Do I at this moment think that they have the gas to do it? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that they're probably going to finish 3rd or 4th, would be my guess.
They'll struggle once Europa League starts up again, too.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think Rodgers can manage a team going every 3 days. I just don't think he can. We played our best games when he only had to do one game a week, which was 13-14, right? He just can't do 2 games a week. Like I just don't think he can do it.
Well, I mean, I guess that. Do we know who they drew in Europe? Does anyone off the top
Doesn't
of their
matter.
head?
Europa League.
Well,
I don't think any Europe is that difficult.
But I guess the question is, if they just get banged out of the Europa League quickly, like if they lose in the round of 32, and they can focus on the league and the FA Cup, that could be in their favor long term, because City want to win the Champions League. As much as they would like to win the Premier League, City want to win the Champions League. Klopp came out this week and said that the top 4 trophy is what his aim this year. He wants the Wenger trophy. So, go for it, bro.
Wenger out, man. Wenger out.
They play Slavia Praha, by the way.
But they have a crest, though. So it might be a challenging game.
What do you mean they have every football
on
club
Google
has a crest?
On Google has their crest.
Slavia Prague's a big club, bro. Okay. Anyway. Sure.
Sorry, I don't keep up with the Europa League.
And Leipzig. Yeah, I forgot it. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going.
You better start. You're going to be there next year.
But okay. So United, I think we all agree, don't have the squad to challenge Europe and domestically. So I could see if Leicester flop out of Europe, and I guess this is also true of United. If United flop out of Europe, but I think United's going to put a little bit more impetus in Europe because of the players in the team. I could see them. I could see Leicester doing well. Am I the only one?
No, I agree with you. I think like Tammy says, it does have to deal with how they handle Europe, but as a counter-attacking side, that goes up against any and everybody. So I definitely see them performing well. I think top 4 is definitely achievable for that squad and for Brendan Rodgers, and I think that would be huge. Do I think they fail out of Champions League next year? Probably, but yeah, and they definitely will push a little bit in Europa League, and I think that will hurt them, but they can still get 4th from that.
Okay. All right. Well, it seems like you guys are done with having that conversation. Let's move on. Let's kind of look just a little bit lower on the table for the teams that are kind of challenging for the European spaces. In my estimation, I think that includes Spurs, Southampton, Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham, Villa, and Everton. I think those are the clubs that have a legitimate shot at either Champions League or Europa League These teams are probably all vying for the Europa League places, in my opinion, but one or two of them could pop up into a Champions League spot. Sean, you look like you're taking offense to something that I'm saying.
You plugged Arsenal in with no games in hand and 10th?
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the table, bro.
No, it's really tight, man. I mean, you guys are what? All right, so it's
6 points.
6 points out of Champions League, right?
No, we are on 27 points. The last Champions League spot right now is 34 points. But
so it's 6 places out of Europa.
7 points out of Champions.
Yeah.
But you're not that far. So it's just really, the top 10 is just so tight.
Everything's very compacted.
No, I was just wanting to give you shit about that.
Yeah, I hear you. So let's look at Spurs real quick. We talked about the Spurs-Sheffield game.
Big win.
Yeah, so you guys won 3-1. I don't think anyone predicted 3-1. Brad, look, Sean, if I'm reading this correctly, you predicted a draw for Tottenham and Southampton.
Uh-huh.
But everyone else had Tottenham winning handily, though no one got that game correct. So, yeah, I mean, do we even really talk about that game? Like, Sheffield's incompetent, and Spurs beat the kid that's, like, has a broken ankle. So, like, is that really anything? Like, I don't think that much needs to be said about that. Tamseed, feel free to disagree with me. I don't know.
No,
okay.
It just felt like the form we were on was just, that's the way I felt. So we're going to draw and draw and draw and draw, and then go to drawing school and then draw some more. That's how I felt.
Sounds like that's the only thing you're concerned about with this club is that you guys are going to draw to death.
That's all we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Southampton, we looked at this game. They lost 2-0 to Leicester. And interestingly enough, Sean, you got that prediction correct. You have Leicester winning 2-0 against Southampton.
Yeah.
Of all of the predictions that the four of us made last week, Tamseed's 0-0 Liverpool United game and your Leicester City to Southampton 0 score were the only two that were spot on last week. So I don't know if you saw something. My Theo Walcott hat trick 3-0.
It didn't come through, huh?
Man, there were a couple opportunities where I was watching this game, of course, because, you
predicted it.
Yeah, I made an absurd prediction. And there were a couple opportunities. Southampton had a couple opportunities before Leicester scored. That was we thought that this was the game of the week last week, and I thought it was a very enjoyable game to watch.
Me too.
Yeah, it was great to watch as a neutral.
Yeah,
I get to see good football.
I mean, better than what we got at Anfield, but
yeah.
Hands down.
What did I say?
And so, that was a fun game to watch. And I think so we're kind of talking about this in the lens of European spaces. Do we think that Southampton's gonna be able to keep this form going and get a Europa League position?
Maybe. Is Danny Ings coming back soon?
That's
really he's coming to. Apparently, Tottenham want to sign him.
Everything hinges. Everything about Southampton hinges on whether Danny Ings is back or not.
I mean, apparently he's asymptomatic, so he should be back relatively quickly. But
nobody else can score in that team, evidently.
Yeah,
I'm reading rumors that we want him to be the backup striker behind Kane. And if you've listened to this podcast all the way through, I know he probably should start over Harry Kane because he's a legend. Harry Kane should be the backup to Danny Ings.
Wow.
Is this a Brad joke about Chelsea legend?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Danny Ings is the truth. And if you put something near him, he's banging it. That's it.
I think we're all just speechless. I think we're all just speechless at you, Sean, and that's hard to do, especially if I'm in the room. I think all three of us were just speechless by Danny Ings starting over Harry Kane.
Do it.
Wow.
Start him.
Hey, that's a Chelsea legend comment there. That is a Chelsea legend comment there. Wow.
Danny Ings.
I mean, the dude
starting forward.
The dude can ball. Why not play both?
He is.
Why not play both?
Right.
Like
4-4-2.
We can figure it out. 4-4-2.
Oh, let's go.
There's
4-4-2.
There's 11 positions on a football field.
I had to do the math.
Nothing says that you can't have two forwards.
We need a solid 4-4-2 team again. We need heritage back in this league. Too many of these European managers coming in with their frou-frou ass tactics. Nah, we need 4-4-2.
Not gonna happen,
back in
unfortunately.
We tried it at the end there, but like nobody wanted to play, so it didn't really matter. We tried it today, the 4-4-2, for the last 20 minutes. It's still no effort, but
4-4-2 was Kovacic and Mason Mount. Like no,
I know.
I mean, like,
oh my gosh,
no.
Yeah, I don't know. Chelsea, there's a lot going on there. Speaking of Chelsea, the game that we talked about last week was the Fulham game. I'm a little upset that I wasn't more forward thinking last week, because I realized that we would have recorded this week at least. It's definitely after the Leicester game. But anyway, we only talked about the Fulham result, and Chelsea did not look good against Fulham. I mean,
no.
Chelsea don't look good against any team that presses them.
Yeah.
They absolutely do not look good against any team that presses them up front.
Yeah, for whatever reason, we just decided that, that Chelsea decided that they just didn't want to work. They wanted to be handed to them, is what I'm seeing. Except for Mason.
Don't give me that Frank Lampard bullshit. All right? Just because Lampard is comfortable throwing his players out on the bus does not mean that Lampard is blameless in this.
Oh, no. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You think Jorginho against an actual pressing team, you deserve to lose. You picked a midfield of Mason Mount, Havertz, and Kovacic.
Oh, I know. Yes. Jorginho should have been in there. But we also don't have a Conte replacement, so I think Conte helps on that on the second goal of being there to break up that type of a pass. But anyways, you're not wrong. The midfield selection was atrocious today.
But I mean, did he have options? Like, if we're looking at it,
yeah, everybody's healthy. The only two people out were Conte and Christensen. So he had almost everybody. Again, I think Conte gets into there instead of Kovacic, and then I think it's a little bit better because you have two engines with Mount and Conte.
He's trying to play 4-4-3, right? Or 4-3-3.
4-3-3. Correct.
4-3-3.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he would love to play 4-4-3.
Which is so ill-suited to that squad. That squad is not set to play 4-3-3. It just can't play it. Nobody's comfortable in any of those positions. Nobody.
Yeah, it does look awkward, and but I also think there's a ton of lack of effort, and whatever the reasons may be, the team isn't performing. Period.
Because players look at other dudes just running at them constantly, and they're like, "Why am I trying to pass my way out of this? This is a waste."
And the other thing is, there's no off-ball movement. There's one or two people moving off the ball, and that's it.
Why don't you just play a
4-2-3-1?
We did. That was pretty much what they were playing
with Giroud up top. Why? Jorginho and Conte in the back.
Conte wouldn't. It'd be Kova and Conte.
Yeah, it'll be Kovacic and Conte, and they both look more comfortable in the Kova-Conte midfield pivot.
Correct. Kova, Conte, and then you can have Mount or Havertz as the 8.
Nah, all of them have to go. It's 4-4-2. All right.
Right, but we're saying 4-3-3.
Werner up top, Ziyech on the right, Pulisic on the left, Kovacic, Conte midfield pivot. That's it. That's the only way this works. Because right now, you don't have a midfield that can bypass a press. So there's no point in trying to pass around it. So just go long to Giroud. Just go long to Giroud. There's no
all
point.
we were doing was passing it around the outside. We had a ton of possession, but we didn't. There was no meaningful possession.
I mean,
because you get boxed out.
I think the only time you guys looked good going forward was when Christian Pulisic had the ball. I think he's been in the games that I've watched. He's been the player with the most
Creativity.
Yeah, creativity. I think I was worried about him coming to the Premier League and just kind of getting frozen out at Chelsea, but I think he's been really good for you guys.
Exceeded expectations.
Yeah, he's a driver. He drives at the defense, like he pushes them back. I would say the only two people worth rating from this game were Christian and Mason. That was pretty much it.
You have this love for Mason Mount.
I love Money Mount. Let's go. Money Mace. Let's go.
And another thought that I had while I was watching this game was about Hudson-Odoi. And like, there's all this talk about Hudson-Odoi, but he I wonder if he's just let all this like Bayern Munich talk just get to his head, because he seemed like a passenger today.
He's very in and out. He's not, but he's also young AF. So like,
I
don't know if his head's all the way in here all the way.
19-year-olds. Yeah, and that's what happens to 19, 20-year-old. You fade in and out of games.
Yeah, when he's on, he's awesome, but he just was not on today.
So, but as an Arsenal fan, I was in my head comparing him to Saka. And I've been hearing about Hudson-Odoi for years and years and years from you, Brad. And you're like, oh, this guy's the truth. This guy's the truth. And Saka has only recently, over the last 18 months, really kind of come on the scene for Arsenal. But as I was watching, I was like, I really feel like Saka just does more than a Hudson-Odoi. And maybe this is just a Homer talking point on my part. But like, it seems like Saka is just a better player than Hudson-Odoi, in my opinion. He's smaller. He's less physically impressive as Hudson-Odoi, but he just looks like he's a better baller to me.
In which way?
I think he does more. I think he's a better attacking player. I think his finishing is better. I think his passing, his crossing is better. I think his link-up play with other players, his interplay is better, and I think he's more versatile because he can play like 8 positions.
So, I gotta find this chart. It was on Reddit, where it showed Caleb was one of the best attackers in the league. I forget what the stats were. It was on our soccer. It wasn't even on our Chelsea. But I'm not. Saka is a great young player. I'm gonna be a homer and still say Odoi is better. Shows the truth. Still, I think he had.
I think Hudson-Odoi has the wrong coach.
You think so? You think it's just down to coaching?
Yeah, I just think he has the wrong coach. I think he has the wrong coach. I think he has the wrong system. He's not a fit for Chelsea. They panicked when Bayern came out, and they threw 120K at him for no reason. And so I think a whole bunch of things went wrong but on a pure, like on their youth scale level, like Hudson-Odoi even still has the potential to be the heir to Sadio Mane, right? Because just the way he plays, it's very reminiscent of Sadio Mane. And Mane didn't really hit it until Pochettino came to Southampton, and Pochettino made Mane, right? Like that's an underrated facet of that nobody ever talks about, is that Pochettino built so many of those players, right? Adam Lallana, Sadio Mane, Virgil van Dijk, all of them came through Pochettino. And so I think that Callum Hudson-Odoi ultimately also needs a coach who's going to actually be able to bring the best out of him and not throw him under the bus at the end of press conferences.
So I'm still Lampard in. I'm going to be Lampard in until the club kicks him out. But out of the coaches available, who do you think can get that out of Calum, get that out of the team that's available? Is it Tuchel or Allegri? Allegri. Got it right.
You're so close. It was right there.
It was right there. And I corrected it though this time. I didn't run with it.
The standard Brad mispronunciation of the week.
If you're watching this on YouTube, just back up 20 seconds and look solely at Brad and look at his eyes and like the wheels turning, because he was trying hard for that. And if you're listening on one of the podcast apps, go over to our YouTube channel and check it out, because I think it's pretty funny.
We need to get that face we need to cut that face for a meme. Let's go.
Hey, don't worry, Brad. Tonight I had Aston Villa in London, so don't worry about it.
All right, but let's keep Tammy. What do you think of that question?
I don't think if you want to win trophies, you get Allegri, and Allegri kicks Callum Hudson-Odoi out. Because because Allegri is not particularly one of those long-term manager types. But Allegri will 100% make you title contenders, right? So if you want to do the Roman way, it's Allegri. And I think it's going to be Allegri. At the end of the season, it's going to be Massimo Allegri that comes in. Just makes a lot of sense because Allegri is like a well-proven winner, et cetera, et cetera. Just makes a lot of sense. I think Thomas Tuchel will end up in Bayern by the end of the season because plus Thomas Tuchel, every club should stay away from Tuchel unless they're willing to give him a sort of open checkbook type of deal, right? Because he's very annoying with your board. Like he will
perfect for Chelsea
constantly.
Conte 2.0. Conte 2.0.
Yeah, I feel like after Conte, Chelsea will never give contracts to managers who are finicky again because they're still paying Conte.
I mean, talk about
I think
managers that are finicky. Conte got Eriksen, and like less than 12 months later, he's like, "Get this fool out of my team! Like I don't want him." So
yeah,
I think.
Do you want to pay a salary?
My take on the Chelsea thing is if they can get through the season, it's gonna be Ralph, right? It's gonna be Hasenhuttl.
Hasenhuttl will be insane if he goes to fucking Chelsea.
Why do you say that?
Because his style takes a while, right? So it's gonna take like 6 months to get those players fit enough to run at the same level he wants them to run, right?
But that's the style you need to play if you're going to play at that level.
During that time period, you're going to get battered. Like, you will have some really bad results.
So you're saying it's not
a game once.
And we already
you're
know,
saying it's not the right. It's not that it's not the right style to play at the top level. You're saying it's the wrong club.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the wrong club. It's definitely the wrong club.
They're not going to have the patience.
Roman demands.
I think Hasenhuttl ultimately becomes the manager of Spurs when Mourinho inevitably collapses.
We're on a timeline here. We only got about 18 months left before he's out. We got to win some trophies before they kick him out.
Yeah.
I think the only other game, I can't remember where we're at in the world in terms of our predictions, but the only other game that I can remember was the Arsenal Newcastle. And Tamsi, you were the only one that got that wrong because you said that Newcastle was going to beat Arsenal, and you were wrong, sir. Wrong.
That game
was fun.
I texted you guys in the middle of it and said, "What in the hell offense am I watching? Because it ain't Arsenal's." And Saka looked good. And they didn't even have Martinelli on the field. He came on at, the 75th?
Something like that.
Something like
yeah.
They didn't have Martinelli on?
I mean,
I was like, what is going on?
I mean, the first half was a little boring and it was a little wasteful. But we came out in the second half with a much higher intensity. Yes, Tamsi, what do you have to... Or are you dipping out? Okay, I'm going to keep talking.
My dog is whining by the door. I'm letting him in.
Okay. Don't give him any water bottles. But we came out in the second half with a much higher intensity, and I really think that Smith Rowe has changed our team, and playing a 10 has changed our team. And it's... It is what it is. But I think that that's really made our team a lot better. And the link up specifically between Laka and Emile Smith-Rowe has really improved that interplay, and just being able to flip the ball out to Saka or to Oba on the wing has been really good. And we had Thomas Partey back, really shoring things up in midfield. And we were talking about how Chelsea doesn't have a midfielder that can play through the midfield. I really think that that's one thing that Arsenal have been missing, and that Thomas Partey is a player that could pick up the ball from the defenders and get the ball upfield. He's, I think, going to be really, really good for us.
His pass to Abba was a thing of beauty on the first goal.
Yeah.
A thing of beauty.
It's a great pass.
Put it on his foot mid.
I think the best player. Finish it. I thought your best player over the last couple of weeks was Emile Smith-Rowe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
that's what he was. That's what he
said. This is like he plays like a natural 10, and Bruno plays like somebody who stat pads all day on penalties. Like if you don't really have time to watch all these games, right? Because they gotta like watch 50 games a week or whatever. So they just watch the highlights and they're like, "Oh, Bruno's such a good player." If you've never actually physically watched a United game, you realize that Bruno's kind of bad. Like his touches are all awful. His crosses are never good. But you watch Emile Smith-Rowe and you're like, this is how a 10 plays. Like this is how he's like smooth like butter as he glides on the like.
And he works hard.
And he works hard. He's a genuinely good player.
Yeah. So I don't.
How young is he?
19 or 20. Young.
I got to get used to this for the next 10 years.
Yeah. When they give him the number 10 shirt. It's going on the back.
Isn't Lacazette trying to cop that shirt?
There's some talk about it, but everyone knows it's going to go to Willian. All right, let's continue on. We were going to talk about the relegation battle, but I don't really think that there's anything that we need to talk about. Things are unchanged. Newcastle looks dreadful, so maybe they'll go down. But right. let's talk about next week. It's another FA Cup weekend coming up. And so when I was looking at the FA Cup schedule, there were only 2 games that I thought were interesting, and that's Southampton Arsenal and United Liverpool. We get United Liverpool Part 2 twice in like a week. So can
you do what City did to United last time they played? Because like then City actually tried to play.
No, we can't. No, we can't. We're playing Divock Origi up front. They're playing Aguero. We can't.
Yeah. It's the FA Cup. Klopp is going to be like, "Oh, I don't have to play another competition." He's going to put the kids out there.
Oh man. He sets up I feel the worst for Takumi Minamino because he gets set up to fail every time. He is not a bad player. He's a very good player. But he's going to be in the front line with Xherdan, I can only play 30 minutes Shaqiri, and Divock Origi out wide. And he's going to be playing a false 9 with James Milner behind him. Like, he is just set up to fail. And I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, man.
This game,
I just feel bad.
This game is primed to be, I think, interesting only because I think Liverpool's not going to value it. Whereas United will value it.
This is going to be such a bad game. Oh.
So United scores 1-0 with a penalty.
No penalty. No penalty in a Player of the Month tournament.
James, what do you got on the Arsenal game?
I don't know. I'm a little worried about Southampton. They're good.
Is Ings back? I think that's the worry.
No.
Is Ings at the truth, bruh?
Well, it's actually funny. I was looking at this, and you'll understand this in a second because we're going to talk about the upcoming EPL games as well. But Arsenal, I was like, all right, who do Arsenal have in the cup? And it says, Southampton. Okay, but I was like, wait, I thought Arsenal had Southampton in the league. We play Southampton twice in 3 days. So I was really confused when I was looking at this. I think I want to take them in the cup, and then I think I want to take them again in the EPL and do a double over them in 3 days. I think we're just gonna fly over to Southampton and just chill there for like 4 or 5 days. We're not gonna come back to London, just hang out there. But I don't know. I'm worried about it. Clearly, I like the FA Cup. I want us to do well in the FA Cup, so I hope we win. But this is going to be like the Reece Nelson, Joe Willock. Martinelli will probably play minutes, so that's good. But we might see Willian in this game and Pepe, and so I don't know what that means for Arsenal. But we'll see. It could do anything. But those are the only 2 big FA Cup games. All the other teams, the big clubs that made it through, are playing Chortle or someone. I don't know. They're playing bums. Chortley, I think, is. Excuse me. I apologize to all Chortley fans. I'm not trying to say you guys are bums. but like non-Premier League opponents. Send all your hate mail to @KSBradG on Twitter. But EPL, we have some games tomorrow and Thursday, and then a couple games, one game at the weekend, and then of course some games early next week before we'll record again. But EPL, I think City Villa is primed to be interesting, but I don't know if it will because Villa's coming back from COVID. Southampton again play Arsenal, whatever that is. And the trap games for this weekend that I think coming up, Fulham have United. That's a trap game for United. Liverpool play Burnley. That's a trap game for Liverpool. And
I don't think so.
And West Brom play host to City. That's City's trap game. I mean, you say not really for Liverpool, but are Liverpool going to be able to score a goal?
I think that's the XG get right game.
Yeah,
I think that's the one.
Okay.
We're about to put 4 past Burnley. And if we don't,
I'm early in the pod.
I'm about to leave social media forever. If we end up playing Burnley, I'm done. I'm fully finished with this game.
If you won Burnley, you're out.
Yeah.
We'll take applications for new Liverpool supporters.
I'm fully finished with this game.
I mean, the goals have to come back again.
NBA podcast incoming. Get ready, boys.
We're not playing a field goal against.
Well, Brad, what were you saying, Brad?
Liverpool haven't scored in 3 games, like we said, but they're still top of the table for goals scored. So, like, it's going to click, and it probably will click here. I don't necessarily see it as a huge trap game, but then again, I thought they'd put 3 past United, so who knows?
Because you don't know the history of this fixture.
Probably true in the long run. Yeah, the trap games this week I think are uninteresting. I mean, I think maybe Fulham ekes out a draw at United, maybe, but City's gonna just destroy West Brom, and Liverpool's gonna destroy Burnley.
That's gonna be ugly. City are gonna put 7 past.
It's gonna be 10 behind the ball the entire time.
It won't matter.
Yeah,
it won't matter.
They're traffic cones.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I don't know. Of any of those games coming up, anything you guys want to bring up about any of those games coming up?
Just a second. The only thing that interests me is the second Southampton Arsenal game.
So in the league.
Yeah, in the league, because you guys look really freaking good. And if you do it again in the cup, how are they going to adjust? So that's what makes it interesting. Because they're going to adjust.
Well, I think you're going to see very different Arsenal teams. We have enough players and enough healthy players right now that it's going to be. I think the only player that's going to be the same between the FA Cup match and the league match is Leno. I mean, you might see more than just Leno, but like I think it's going to be like 8 changes between those games. Honestly,
dude, Saka looks amazing.
Yeah, but you can't run him into the ground. You need what are you going to prioritize here? And like,
yeah, that's true.
Arteta.
You play him in the cup, yeah. Okay.
Arteta has faith, at least enough faith in Pepe and Willian to play them in the cup, and then so I think in the cup you'll see front 3 of Willian, Nketiah, Pepe. I think we're going to play 4-3-3, and then in the midfield you'll see like El Neni and Willock, maybe Reece Nelson, something like that. But and then I think in the league you'll see like what our best team is with Oba and Lacazette and Martinelli, Saka, Emile Smith Rowe. So yeah, I don't know. I think I don't think there's going to be any. I don't think there's going to be anything crazy this week. But yeah, if you guys don't have anything that you want to bring up about those games, I think that's all that she wrote for this week.
Well, that's it for me.
All right. Brad, tell us, tell the people where to meet up with you, where to interact with you.
On KS Brad G on the Twitters, Instagrams, wherever else you can find KS Brad G.
It's probably you. Tamzid, are you still active on Twitter?
Yeah, you'll find me at Eligiri Leipzig.
Hardee's, bro. Hardee's.
That's at Firmino's Dentist. Apparently I spelled it wrong on the YouTube link, so I'll have to double check.
Solid.
One of our listeners let me know, and so I'll have to look at that. Sean, where are people going to find you?
You can find me at Aston Villa, London. No, you can find me at White Hart. You can find me at _Sean.
And I am at James Tiffany on Twitter. Of course, remember to follow at Red Card Radio on Twitter. It's @redcard_radio, right, Brad?
It is
right.
@redcard_radio, and I do have one pop culture fact of the week.
He's killing my outro again. All right,
here we go.
Sorry,
you got to warn me next time. Now. You got to warn me next time.
I tried. So in February of 2008, the 25th anniversary of the album Thriller was re-released.
And when was that, Brad?
The last time Tottenham won a trophy.
All right, thank you.
Okay, brilliant. That one was really good. I was sitting here. I was like, what a random ass date for him to choose. But
yeah, I knew what he was doing. I
was 10 out of 10, Brad. But before we let you go, at @redcard_radio, find us on YouTube, all the podcast sites, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts. Comment, rate, subscribe. All those things help us, and let us know what you think we stink at and what you think we're moderately okay at. But until next week, this was our look at the Premier League and English football after 19 games, kind of. But we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.